folks. Okay, I think we are up and running. All right, so today is going to be a little different, and the reason is, so yesterday there was a little Zoom lift thing that we did yesterday, the RGSI Triathlon, which is 3 minutes jerk, 3 minutes long cycle, 4 minute snatch. And that was at 9:30. And what happened was, and this is typically what happens. So long story short, I sprained my back a little bit. Nothing crazy. What a muscle strain is basically when you overstretch the muscles potentially, or over-contract even, which potentially leads to either some micro tearing or of one or several muscle fibers, or has resulted in some swelling, potentially around some nerve endings that may create some discomfort. So basically right now, and usually for me when it happens, it's not super noticeable, but it's usually a number of hours or the day after that you kind of start to feel, oh, that doesn't feel good. So reasons why this could have happened for me, number one is, you got to be smart about your training. So for me yesterday, we were going to lift at 9:30. I was working on the computer pretty well up until 9:15, and then came out and started doing some really brief warming up. And so the main thing here is I did not warm up well enough. Wasn't anywhere near as long as I need to warm up, and that's also going to be relative to what you're demanding of your body. So if I was, say, going to lift like the 16s, which are very light for me, I would need less warm up to get there. But against my better judgment, and due to some social pressures and things like that, and I feel like I need to maintain a certain level of performance or image that goes along with that, given that I am sort of a higher level athlete and a coach and stuff like that. I try to lead by example. I lifted the 24s, and it was too much too soon. I had also trained the day before. I didn't think I was going to be feeling the day before as much as I was, but I was. My hamstrings were tight, and usually for me in particular, if my psoas are tight, those are the muscles that basically connect your femur to your lumbar, and when they're tight, they kind of really pull onto the lumbar and crank your lumbar in. And then my hamstrings were tight, which were forcing my pelvis in the opposite direction. And then overall, just not very warmed up. Muscles weren't super pliable yet. Not a lot of flexibility in those tissues. And so it was just too much weight, too much bounce, too much velocity, too much rapid stretching, and ended up straining my back a little bit. So for me to, right now, to posterior tilt, and to put that much stretch on my back is uncomfortable. But if I move in the opposite direction, that's not uncomfortable at all. So today is going to be about how do you continue to train with a back sprain? Well, we have to evaluate the things that we know that we can't do. So what I'm going to avoid is any sort of rapid, explosive movements, any very rapid hip dominant type movements. I want to try to use my hips as little as possible today, outside of just basic mobility, which I will do some of. But going to focus on not even necessarily lighter weight, but it's going to be focused on muscles and areas of the body that don't require a big demand from the hips. So isolation movements for the arms, chest, back. Lunges should be fine, but not weighted distally. So I don't want to throw some weight up on my shoulders and do a bunch of lower body stuff per se, because that will add a considerable amount of stress through the trunk, and which those trunk muscles to want to engage and tighten, and that'll just compress those nerve endings even more and make it uncomfortable. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're going to continue to train, so there's pain that tells you that something's wrong. There's pain that is going to be there regardless of what you do. So I have a strain, there's going to be pain there. I'm going to feel it today through the workout, but the difference is you need to be able to get to a point where you understand what sort of discomfort is making things worse or what sort of discomfort is just part of the process. So obviously if I engage my abdominal wall and I feel that discomfort, that doesn't mean I'm doing something bad by tightening my abs. It just means that it's just feedback, right? It's letting me know that there's something, it's reminding me that there's something going on back there and that I need to be aware of it. But just tightening those muscles isn't doing anything worse, isn't making anything worse. My number one piece of advice for dealing with a muscle strain in general in terms of healing, time and rest. Time and rest, time and rest. No stretching, no ice. I'm a big fan of heat, feels great. Don't try to speed the process up beyond what is physiologically normal or possible. Your body will heal on its own, it just needs time. Don't try to force it. So that's my best advice with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go through a little bit of mobility stuff. An important thing I think that you should remember when you're going into a session dealing with something like a back strain is try to change as little as possible about your workout. So go through your same warm-up more or less and change only what you have to change. Keep things consistent, keep things normal so that you don't create this idea in your head that, you know, don't victimize yourself. Just play it smart. And psychologically, one of the best mindsets that you can have about this sort of thing is, you know, you can either focus on all the things that you can't do, or you can think about all the things that you can do and then do those things, right? And take action. So we're gonna do those things. So starting with our arm circles. Up the middle, down the back. Gonna get those shoulders warmed up. And as I'm going through this, whatever movement I do, I'm paying very close attention to how it makes my back feel. Now remember what I said about time and rest. Now, it would be simple to just spend the next 3 days doing nothing and then going into the gym expecting things to be normal again and then hurting yourself again because you have no body awareness. Going into the gym and doing little things in your period of convalescence is important because you are using that time as some feedback to help you gauge exactly where you are on that journey of recovery. How close are we getting to normal again? As opposed to staying in bed or lying on the couch or something and not really getting any feedback because you're immobile and just guessing when you're ready to go back into the gym. It's one of the worst things you can do. So do what you can, use that as a diagnostic tool. And I kind of like to use these situations as excuses to just come in here and do some bro stuff. Because I really love doing my bro workouts. But of course, I really value and love doing my kettlebell workouts too. But these days, usually the kettlebell stuff takes precedent. So this is a good excuse for me to just do some bro stuff. And ironically enough, my shoulder that's been causing me some grief has been feeling great. So, you know, you gotta look for the good stuff. Okay. Good. Let's do some walking deadlifts. So working on my proprioception here and working on going through a very full range of motion through my hips. So still kind of testing the waters here. Swing forward, swing back, take a step. Swing forward, swing back, take a step. Now because my back feels mainly uncomfortable when I round it, if I was going to be stupid and do some kettlebell stuff, I wouldn't do any rack stuff, but snatch should feel fine. And that's what I found, is that snatch is actually one of the first exercises I start doing when I get back into the gym from a back strain. Okay, lunge step, high knee, lunge step, high knee, lunge step, high knee. Let's drop this guy down a little bit. I can really feel how tight my hip flexors are. Okay, I'm just gonna do a quick hip flexor stretch, 1 foot up on the high box. I'm gonna move my pelvis towards my heel. And I'm thinking about opening up through that hip. What you'll typically find with a back strain as well is that your rotational capacity becomes very limited and very painful. So that's one thing. That's probably one of the main things I'll use to gauge how ready I am to come back to the gym is if that rotation begins to feel normal. So I would say that that's probably what feels the worst. So if the thing that feels the worst feels normal, then I'm pretty confident I'm ready to come back in. Hamstring stretch. So. Okay. Now, I could just do this sort of slow paced. But, and I still will basically, but here's what I'm gonna do, because this is a great way to maximize your time efficiency, and it's still more or less self-paced. So I'm gonna stick to sets of 10 repetitions. About 5 exercises is good. And I'm gonna throw in 1 minute of erg also in with that. So that'll be the 6th exercise, okay? So 10 repetitions each movement, plus 1 minute on the erg, or whatever sort of cardio or dynamic movement that you can think of that's suitable for your space and resources. You could even do some kettlebell swings or some kettlebell snatch, that would be awesome. And we wanna think about making this more or less a full body workout. So we'll pick an exercise for the legs, upper body push, upper body pull. We can do a core movement, and then arms, right? Triceps, biceps. The core stuff I'll probably avoid, to be honest, outside of just a plank. I will do planks in my back strain recovery period, again to help as a diagnostic tool. But I'm not really using, in that sense, I'm not really using it for training, I'm just using it as a diagnostic tool. So yeah, legs, upper body push, upper body pull, biceps, triceps, or shoulders, something like that, plus an erg, okay? So, I'm gonna start with some dumbbell bench press. So I'm gonna grab a couple 25s. That's like a warm-up weight for me. Take a seat, kick back. Now the other thing is that, you know, I've had numerous back strains. You know, it's fairly, I don't want to say it's normal, but they happen. And every time that you have one, it helps to inform you as to what's normal for your period of convalescence. So I can tell already that there have been times of back strains where sitting back to do my bench press, and especially coming back up, is really hard to do and really painful. Today, not. So this is a very mild back strain for me, which is good for me to know. So, you've got the bells up. We want to think about stabilizing the feet, so we should be doing the foot dance. I want to pull those shoulder blades together a little bit to lock in position, shoulders down and back. I'm going to guide the weights down, get that stretch across the chest, loaded stretch, and press out. Consistently keep your shoulder blades back. That's going to allow you to keep tension on the chest. And we don't have to lock the elbows out at the top, because that does take tension off the chest. If we want to really get a decent chest pump and really challenge the chest, then we would go to a partial lockout. Okay, so I think I did more than 10 there. I was just sort of feeling it out. I'm going to grab some 15s. And I'm going to do some bicep curls. I'm going to do a style of curl where I'm sort of coming across the body a little bit. So I'm coming across as opposed to straight forward. Just a variation that I like to do sometimes. Hammer grip. Control down, right back up. And when you hit the bottom, you're actually going to kick on that tricep and actively extend the elbow to get to maximal bicep stretch. We want to make sure that we're moving through the fullest range of motion possible. At least on the eccentric. I'm not counting again. That's okay. One more. It's good to go by feel. Okay, I'm going to do some back. I'm going to go chest supported, which will be pretty standard for me when doing back, unless I'm doing some lat pull downs or some pull-ups. Chest supported row is going to take pressure out of the trunk so that it's not as uncomfortable. Full stretch at the bottom. 6. I'm pulling back towards the hips. 7. And squeezing between the shoulder blades. 8. 9. Try to keep my chest on the bench too. I don't want to hyperextend. Keep head down, chest down. And that's good. Now, on Sunday, my triceps were roasted from some overhead extensions I did before. They're starting to feel normal again. So I'm gonna grab the 15s and we'll do some extensions. So typically when you're doing triceps on a bench, lying down, we call these skull crushers. In the inclined bench setup, you can get some more pre-stretch on the tricep head. Now, just like your bench press, make sure feet are stable and you pull those shoulder blades down and back. Elbows high. 2. 3. We want minimal movement through the upper arm. So as these come down, don't let your elbows kick way forward. Keep those elbows back. 4. 5. Control that descent. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's good. And so we did chest, we did biceps, we did back, we did triceps. I'm gonna add in one leg exercise, and that's based on how I feel. This is a milder strain, so I feel okay as far as the lower body goes. Probably gonna stay away from the bilateral stuff, so something like squats, unless it's just bodyweight squats. So I'm gonna do some Bulgarian split squats, just because that's gonna very much isolate from the hips down and doesn't require as much hip work. And I'll just grab these guys. Okay, so 1 foot on the bench. You guys can see that. Let's bring this guy over here a little bit. So a foot on the bench, all the way down, all the way up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's good. Feet side by side. And then we're going to switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's good. I did not feel any discomfort in my back, not even as I got down to the bottom, so excellent. Okay, gonna do 1 minute on the bike. Okay, that was good. Now the bike feels the least comfortable out of all of them, and the reason is there's some moderate rotation happening on the bike. So, like I said before, the rotation is what bothers it the most, but I'm confident and it's unlikely that that's actually making anything worse. It's very mild discomfort. So, always pay attention to the feedback that you're getting to help inform you as to what's okay, what's not okay, and what are going to be the best exercises for you in a period of convalescence. Okay, so we're going to cycle back through. The basic idea of all this stuff is, so these are kind of called density sets. So we're trying to maintain intensity, and that's going to be a combination of how quickly you're moving from exercise to exercise, and also maintaining a relatively high intensity in terms of the weight that you're using. For me, this was all pretty much those were all warm-up sets as far as the weights go. So I'm gonna bump up my weights now, and I'm gonna keep the pace, and when I hit the bike, I'm trying to keep a good pace there too. Okay, so we're back to chest press. We got the 40s. Sit back, feet stable, shoulders stable, guide down, and push out. guide them down, and push out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's good. Don't do any more than you have to. Again, really happy about this shoulder not feeling like garbage. Okay. 20s. 1, 2, 3. Chest up. 4. Elbows back. 5, 6, 7. Coming across the body slightly. 8, 9. Slight pause up here. And 10. Good stuff. So I'm going to take those 40s. I'm going to move them up for my chest supported rows. One arm rows would be a good one to do as well. The only problem with the one arm rows, so if I were, say, to hop into this position and do my one arm rows, it's creating some rotational torque, so not as ideal. Again, chest supported rows are excellent when you're dealing with this sort of issue. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right on. Okay. Let's try those 20s for the triceps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Awesome sauce. Okay, and again, hitting those Bulgarian split squats. Okay, 1 foot up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feet side by side and switch. 1, 2, 3. Stay square. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah. Okay, 1 minute erg. It's not a bad idea to throw in some stretches in between your sets or in between your cycles. Just remember, one of the most important reasons for staying active or staying mobile during a period of convalescence is it maintains blood flow, especially to the areas that need, that are repairing or in repair. So potentially that will help you speed up the recovery process or the repair process. If blood flow is good, then we're going to be optimizing your convalescent efficiency. And that's reinforced by certain things that we know about certain tendons, ligaments that have, or even muscles that have poor blood flow, such as like supraspinatus, poor blood flow, and just the rotator cuff in general doesn't heal very well, partially because of that. So we need an ample opportunity for substrates, metabolites, byproducts to be flushed out, and nutrients to be brought in. Okay, so cycling back around. I'm gonna bump up to the 50s, but I'm not gonna go any heavier than that from a bench press, just because it's gonna be more challenging just to get into position. And I want to, I want to get sufficient activation and stimulation for the chest and my upper body pushing muscles. But if I can check that box while avoiding additional stress through the trunk, then that's kind of what I'm looking for, right? The only issue with my dumbbell set, as far as 50 pounds goes, my 50 pounders, is that one's a bit of a makeshift. So these aren't matching dumbbells. I'm not even sure they're exactly the same weight. Probably not. One handle's thinner than the other. It's all wonky. Okay. Back, feet stable, shoulders set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's good. Let's grab those 25s. 1, 2, chest tall. 3, 4, elbows back. So we shouldn't be cranking the arms forward. Stay back here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, slight pause. 10, that's good. Okay, for these. All right, now when you're setting up in your chest forward rows, we want to get fairly high because we want as much range to work with here. So I get right up to the base of the sternum at the very top of the bench. Grab one, then the other. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oh, fun stuff. Triceps. Grab the 25s this time. I find that there tends to be a bit of a tipping point where you go from, say, 20 pounds to 25 pounds, and it starts feeling a bit more, you start feeling more torque through the elbow, and it feels It just feels less muscular. Yeah, so there's going to be sort of like a magic spot for each person depending on what your strength is. This feels all right. You guys getting dizzy? Okay, split squats. Grab my weights. 1 foot on the bench. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Feet side by side, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Fantastic. Okay. 1 minute on the erg. Where's my water? Okay. So that's 3 rounds. I can do 1 more round. And that will mean that I've done 4 sets of 10 for each exercise, which is 40 reps per exercise, which is pretty standard volume, just in terms of reps. So after I finish that, even though I'm in a stage of convalescence right now, I'm gonna feel like I didn't have to skip a workout, I didn't have to play it easy, I didn't have to do like a fluff and puff workout. Because of the pace of this session, and because I'm keeping my weight still, you know, maybe around 70% RM sort of thing, where it's sort of like that middle intensity. And just remember, the higher your pace from exercise to exercise, and when you minimize rest, it increases the demand on the system and increases the demand on the fibers themselves. So, for instance, obviously if you're working in an oxygen debt, because you can tell that my rate of respiration is elevated, I'm at a stage where I have less oxygen available to fuel the activity that I'm doing. So not only is my perception of the exercises harder, even though I'm not working out maybe as intensely as I would normally in terms of the actual amount of the weight that I'm using, but also even on a muscular basis and on a cellular basis, I'm getting a similar training effect. And that's part of how HIIT training works as well, is in hypoxic conditions, we can recreate very intense training situations. And Even innervation increases when we're in hypoxic conditions, and the more fatigued that you are. So in a fatigue state, we can get maximal muscle fiber innervation with lighter weights, as opposed to being fully refreshed, fully rested, and moving our heaviest weights. So that's the benefit of doing workouts like this. Stay hydrated. Okay, one more time through. Feet stable, shoulders stable. Got it down. 2, 3, 4. It might be tempting for you to go beyond 10 reps and do more just because it's the last set and you know that you don't have a set after this that you're trying to be fresh for. I caution you against that. Part of really good training and really good periodization is you do just enough work to get the job done and get the adaptation effect that you're looking for, while not doing so much that your recovery is impeded. So we want to be able to do, I want to be able to do just enough and feel like I have some left in the tank, so that on my next workout, I actually feel stronger, not weaker because I'm in recovery from the previous workout. Because we always want to build on that previous session. Okay, biceps. I'll do these seated. So seated position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chest up, shoulders back. 5, elbows back. 6, 7, 8. Control it on the way down. 9, no swinging. Do an extra one there. 10, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna opt for 10 pull-ups instead of more rows, just because it feels like it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, triceps. Grab these 25s again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Keep those elbows in, don't let them flare out. And you gotta fight for that last one. All right. Split squats. Oh joy. Here we go. 1, maximize that depth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feet together and switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Depth, depth, depth. 9 and 10. Okay, erg, 1 minute. Oh boy. Okay, that concludes today's session. I'm gonna do some stretching. Well, mainly I'm gonna do some rolling. Stretching again. Not ideal when we're dealing with tissues that are either already harboring tension or are inhibited and so are locking up, or are damaged due to any micro tearing or anything like that. Stretching is not what you should be doing in those situations. It's just going to compress nerves and potentially just put more tension onto damaged tissues, because that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a muscle strain. We want to be gentle and let those work themselves out and recover and repair and rebuild and remodel. What I will do though is do some targeted rolling for areas that, when they are tense, add torque and tension to the hip complex. So such as my glute medius, I throw the lacrosse ball in there, and I'll try to loosen up my hip flexors a little bit more. So hip flexors, those are my two sort of trouble spots when it comes to back tightness, is those will usually be, for lack of a better phrase, the source of the issue. So I try to loosen up those. Anyways, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go through some mobilities and rolling stuff, and hope you found this video informative and useful and helpful for you, because I can say, don't hurt yourself in the future. If you have goals that you care about, if you push yourself or you like being challenged and you're not satisfied with being average, or let's face it, below average, because honestly with the kind of health issues in our population that we have today, that's kind of really the matter of fact. When we have a population that's, we've got, something like 60% of men and 40% of women over the age of 45 who are obese or overweight. So, think about being better. Think about being a better version of yourself. And the way to doing that is just focusing on simple actions day to day. Focus on what you can do right now. Don't be outcome based. Try not to be always super focused on the result that you want, and just identify what are the actions that lead to that result, and then focus on those actions. And like I said earlier, I could spend all my time today bitching and complaining about all the things that I can't do right now, but I know that it's not forever, and I'm going to be out of this sooner than I think, probably.
but you know, this is an opportunity for me to think about all the things that I can do and try to be the best that I can at those things. Okay? Challenges are opportunities, right? Okay, we'll see you next time. I'm gonna stop babbling. Cheers.